The Mercedes-AMG E53 Estate will sprint to 62 miles an hour in under 4 seconds and then carry you home in complete electric silence. For 2026, AMG has taken its fastest family wagon and done the one thing the faithful swore would never happen. The big petrol V8 is gone. In its place sits a turbocharged straight six, working hand in hand with an electric motor. Together they serve up around 577 horsepower. There is also a battery large enough to cover close to 60 miles on nothing but electricity. With the V8 gone, is it still a proper AMG? And if you want the honest verdict, subscribe now. Stay with me, because the answer is not the one that purists are bracing for. Let us begin with how it looks, because AMG has made sure this is no anonymous load lugger. The nose wears the Panamericana grille, a wall of vertical chrome bars with a huge three-pointed star set dead in the middle, and a small AMG plate perched on the bumper. It is a wide, low, deadly serious face. Yet the paint on this car is a soft, silvery sage green, a gentle color poured over a deeply ungentle machine. That quiet contradiction is the whole point. Walk along the flank, and the roofline stretches long over big multi-spoke wheels that fill every arch. At the tail, the lamps split into a fine three-part star signature, with the letters AMG written boldly across the boot lid. Somehow it reads as a sensible choice and the wild one in a single glance. Open the door, and that split personality follows you inside. The dashboard is swallowed by one enormous sweep of glass, a driver display, and a central touchscreen flowing almost the full width of the cabin. Directly ahead sits a chunky, flat-bottomed AMG steering wheel. On its spokes are two little round dials that swap you between a gentle electric glide and full attack, hands still on the wheel. The sports seats hold you tightly, yet stay kind on a long haul. The surfaces feel expensive, and after dark the cabin glows with soft, shifting color. It feels every inch the six-figure object it is. So how does all of this behave once the road opens up? Charge it overnight, and by morning this AMG will slip through rush hour on the battery alone, smooth and near silent, using not a drop of fuel. Twist the drive selector to its sharpest setting, and the reviewers who have driven it describe the very same wagon turning ferocious. All four wheels dig for grip through the clever 4MATIC Plus system. The rear wheels steer a couple of degrees to tuck the tail into a bend. On its launch setting, it briefly summons over 600 horsepower. The early verdicts place it a notch below a full-fat BMW M5 for outright violence, yet call it the more rounded thing to actually live with. A car this fast has no business being this easy. If a car that can be two different machines on one journey is your kind of engineering, keep watching, because a catch is coming, and it is a real one. Here is where the sums start to surprise you. Because it is a plug-in hybrid with a tiny figure on the emissions sheet, it slips into one of the gentlest company car tax bands on offer, under 10%. For a higher rate earner running one through work, that is a bill of roughly £3,000 a year, about half what the same driver would hand over on a diesel E-Class. In a six-figure performance car, that is close to astonishing. But be honest with yourself about how you will really use it. That headline economy number, the one quoted north of 300 miles to the gallon, is a laboratory fantasy that only holds while the battery does the work. Drain it, lean on the straight six alone. And the testers who tried it watched the true figure crumble to around 30. The electric range tells the same story. The brochure promises up to 63 miles, yet drivers living with the car on real commute settled nearer 44, and less again on a cold morning. Charge it faithfully and it is nearly free to run. Neglect that, and it is simply a heavy, thirsty super estate. Then comes the question every six-figure purchase deserves. Will it hold together? Honestly, this generation of E-Class is still young, so long-term data is thin, and a handful of early owners report electrical and screen gremlins being cured under warranty. Mercedes covers the car itself for 3 years with no mileage limit, and guards that hybrid battery separately for 6 years, or 100,000 kilometers. So the priciest part, the thing that makes it clever, is covered well beyond the point most owners would trade it in. Now for the company it keeps, and it is fearsome. The obvious rival is the BMW M5 Touring. That car hurls a colossal 717 horsepower at you, well over 100 more than the Mercedes, along with a slightly larger boot. But it asks nearly 19,000 pounds extra and weighs the best part of 2.5 tons. Then there's the Audi RS6 Avant, the long-standing hero of the class. It brings a glorious 621 horsepower V8 and the biggest boot of the three. It is also the thirstiest, cannot cover a single mile on electricity, and stings you for around 26,000 pounds more again. Against both, this AMG is the lightest, the cheapest, and the only one you can run for pennies on the daily grind. So, what does it take to park one on your drive? Prices open near 94,000 pounds for the standard car, and climb past 100,000 for the blacked-out Night Edition, which piles on 20-inch wheels, massaging seats, and 4-zone climate. Tempting as that flagship looks, the shrewder money buys the entry car and spends $7,500 on the performance package instead. That option adds the bigger brakes, the limited slip differential, and the race start mode that frees the full 600 horsepower. That is the line between a fast estate and a savage one, and where your cash works hardest. And now the catch I promised. Every scrap of that electric hardware has to live somewhere, and it lives beneath the boot floor. So where an ordinary E-Class estate will happily swallow 615 liters of family clutter, the hybrid gives you 460. Lift the tailgate and it is still a square, flat, genuinely useful space, larger than most saloons could dream of. But reviewers keep circling the same gripe. You pay for those silent electric miles in suitcases, and a family packing for a fortnight away will feel every missing liter. The battery that makes it so clever is the very thing that quietly steals its space. So, is a V8-less AMG still a real AMG? Line the three super estates up on the numbers that matter, and it is all on screen now. The one to buy is the standard E53, near 94,000 pounds, with that performance package added. Skip it if your life is airport runs for 5 people and a tower of luggage, because the smaller boot will nag at you on every trip. Cross-shop the BMW M5 Touring if raw firepower matters more than the monthly bill, and the Audi RS6 Avant if you simply cannot let go of a V8. Add it all up, and this car lands at 7.8 on the Auto TV score. It outsprints supercars, carries the whole family, and sips fuel like a hatchback. The old V8 was louder and wilder, and some will always mourn it. But by refusing to choose between fast and sensible, this one pulls off something far cleverer. And that, in the end, is the most AMG thing of all. So, if the M5 Touring is the BMW still tugging at your wallet, that full review is waiting right here.